We begin with a poignant story tonight of love and sacrifice in the face of overwhelming odds. A young couple learns their child will be born with a debilitating medical condition, and they bring him into the world anyway.
These are the weirdest and most dangerous diseases humans ever caught.
They were revealing shocking and rare medical conditions that most people have never heard of, but they are very real. Ever since she was a baby, Ashley has been living with a disabling condition that literally turns her muscle.
It may seem scary, and it is. Some of these diseases are so rare that it would require meeting at least 20 million people before coming across someone who has it. Number 15. Most of us have experienced having nightmares while sleeping, even at least once in our lives. But what if the nightmare wasn't just going on inside your head? What if the nightmare was that your body suddenly forgets to breathe? That's the case with this teen who can't sleep without fear of dying. Liam Derbyshire has an extremely strange disease called Ondine's curse. Now, if your disease has the word curse on it, then you're done. Only 1 out of 5 million people has Liam's disease. So what happens is, the disorder causes a disruption to his autonomic nervous system, which means he can't breathe autonomously while sleeping.
I do them all my own. I just get to the wine, okay, I get to
As a consequence, Liam needs to use a ventilator every night to stay alive, and a caregiver must monitor him to ensure his safety. Liam's parents, Peter and Kim Derbyshire, have been dealing with this tough situation since he was born. At first, doctors thought he wouldn't make it past 6 weeks, but Liam proved them wrong. His condition is still unpredictable, with the constant risk of seizures, collapses, and exhaustion, which makes life a daily struggle for his family. Taking care of him takes a toll on Peter and Kim, and they hardly ever get a full night's sleep. But despite these struggles, Liam's parents have an optimistic outlook. Peter said, "Liam's living proof that there's always hope." Number 14. Up next is a rare condition called human werewolf syndrome, and just by the name, you probably already have an idea of what this looks like. It's definitely one of the weirdest diseases in this list. Jesus Ozeves was born with this really rare condition that makes him have thick hair all over his face. And get this, about 30 of his family members also have hypertrichosis, making them probably the hairiest family in human history. When Ozeves was a kid, his thick dark hair that covered his whole face got him the nickname the Little Wolf. He grew up in Laredo, a small town in northwest Mexico, where his family was shunned by the locals because of his appearance.
My name is Gabriel Ramos Gomez. Everybody know me like Larry Gomez, the Wolfman.
What does your wife think of your hair?
By the time he was 12, he started traveling from city to city to work at carnivals. One summer, he sold tickets for a Ferris wheel, and another year, he ran a booth where people could pop balloons to win prizes. It was there that a circus owner noticed him. When the boys signed up for the circus, they spent a few years traveling around Mexico. When Ozeves was a kid, he used to hate going outside. He was bullied at school, and other kids would pull his facial hair and call him names. As he got older, he became more confident. Now he's in his 40s and has mixed feelings of shame and pride about who he is. Number 13. Have you heard of the Blue people of Kentucky? If not, prepare to be shocked at what you'll see. When you think about it, how in the world could someone turn blue? The story begins in 1820 with French orphan Martin Fugate, who settled in Kentucky, got married, and had 7 children, 4 of which were with the blue-tinted skin condition called methemoglobinemia. This condition impairs the blood to carry oxygen properly. Now, because of this, the 1800s, people were absolutely shocked at the otherworldly appearance of their children, which led to local gossip, superstition, and later on isolation. Because they were isolated for so long over generations, the Fugates intermarried within their family, which ultimately led to almost everyone getting the disease. The mystery of the blue skin was finally solved in the 1960s by Dr. Madison Cawein, a hematologist. Dr. Cawein discovered that the blue skin of the Fugates was caused by a deficiency of an enzyme called diaphorease. This enzyme is responsible for converting methemoglobin back to hemoglobin, which carries oxygen in the blood. Due to the enzyme deficiency, the Fugates had high levels of methemoglobin in their blood, resulting in their bluish skin color. Fast forward to the 20th century, a man named Paul Carrison became a nationwide sensation in America after he turned blue due to taking homemade colloidal silver treatment on his skin,
When did you first realize that you were blue?
A friend that hadn't seen me in a while came by and asked me what I'd done to myself.
To treat certain health issues he had, because of this transformation, he was labeled as Papa Smurf from the Smurfs franchise. It also caused multiple health-related issues to Karasan, which ultimately led to his demise. Number 12. Up next is a really sad case of a child suffering from progeria. Meet Kaylee and Lindsay, 2 among 9 kids in America suffering from this genetic disorder. Progeria is a rare genetic disorder which causes accelerated aging to those who have it. Despite this and all the challenges that come with it, Kaylee has an optimistic outlook in life. The 6-year-old girl lives her life full of confidence and color. In an interview, Kaylee said that she dreams of having long curly hair. Kaylee's family, especially her brothers, see her as a regular kid and admire her strength. They notice people's curious glances, but they're happy with how she's living her life. Even though she knows she has a condition, Kaylee doesn't let it define her.
Look. Way over there. Hey, I seen you.
She's taking part in a trial for a new medication to slow down the progression of progeria and takes daily medication to manage it. Another case of progeria is of a kid named Lindsay. And amazingly, she's only an hour away from Kaylee, so they get to meet and play together every now and then. The latest checkup showed good news. It looks like she's grown 6 centimeters and gained 2 pounds. The medication, which was originally meant for treating cancer, seems to be helping to slow down the progression of the illness, especially in improving heart health. Both families are feeling hopeful that this treatment will keep making a positive difference in their children's lives. The documentary ends on a hopeful note, highlighting the fundraising efforts for progeria research and the strength of the girls, especially Kay, who encourages others to stay strong and not let anything overshadow their lives. Number 11. Now let's talk about a rare condition called FOP, or fibrodysplasia ossificans progressiva. This disease only affects around 700 to 800 people around the world. People with FOP have their muscles, ligaments, and tendons turning into bone, basically turning them into human statues. This condition severely limits their movement, causing a lot of pain and really tough physical challenges. For example, there's Ashley Kerpiel, who lives in Georgia.
FOP impacts my daily life pretty much all day, every day. I cannot dress myself, I can't bathe myself, I can't do my hair.
When she was a kid, her arm was amputated because doctors mistakenly thought she had cancer. The real diagnosis was missed because the classic sign of FOP, a crooked big toe, was overlooked. Eventually, her muscles started turning into bone, leaving her arm and leg permanently stuck. Despite her limitations, Ashley has adapted her life and found creative ways to handle her daily tasks. Patrick Dorr and Nancy Sando, along with others, face similar challenges with their jaws and joints almost completely fused. Thankfully, the FOP community provides support and encouragement. During their yearly get-together, people share tips on managing daily activities and simply enjoy each other's company, even joining in unique dance parties. FOP often shows early signs in childhood, like a crooked toe, and continues throughout life. The youngest person at the convention was 3-year-old William, who is already dealing with bone growth in his arm and back. Despite how devastating the disease is, the group draws strength from their shared experiences and motivates each other to keep looking at the bright side. Number 10. At number 10 is a case from Bangladesh where a man found himself with a 10-pound wart attached to his hands and feet. Abul Bajandar, also known as the Tree Man from Bangladesh, gained fame due to his rare skin condition called epidermodysplasia verruciformis, which causes massive warts to grow on his hands and feet, resembling tree branches. Abul tried all sorts of treatments, like seeing a healer and even attempting to remove the warts himself, but nothing worked. Because of money problems, he couldn't get surgery, which made it hard for him to work or live a normal life.
সুস্থ হয়ে গেলে আমি যাচ্ছে আবার স্বাভাবিকভাবে যাচ্ছে সংসার জীবনে ফিরে যে কাজ কাম করব যাচ্ছে মা বাবার জন্য কিছু করতে চাবো তাদের যাচ্ছে ভালো মন্দ কিছু খাতির দেওয়ার চেষ্টা করব ইনকাম করে
Even the country's Prime Minister, Sheikh Hasina, took an interest, gathering the best surgeons in the country to try to remove the warts. After a while, he left the hospital thinking he was cured. Unfortunately, the warts came back, causing Abul a lot of pain and sleepless nights. He was so desperate that he even thought about asking doctors to cut off his hands to find relief. Despite all the tough times, Abul's life had some bright spots. He found love with Halima, his wife, who first felt sorry for him, and then they fell in love. The people of Bangladesh also showed their support by visiting him in the hospital every day, showing their unity. Even though Abul still struggles with his condition and hasn't found a cure, his strength and the love from his family and community give him hope. Number 9. What would you do if you suddenly felt empty, as if you just died? Warren, a man who sustained serious injuries in an accident, including brain damage, a fractured spine, and ruptured lungs, developed an uncommon condition called Cotard syndrome. This condition, often linked to frontal lobe injuries, led Warren to believe that he was dead. Despite receiving support from people during his rehabilitation, Warren felt like a ghost, disconnected from reality, and saw no reason to continue living. His dissociative state made him feel as though his life had ended, even though he was physically alive.
Then, if you were sitting in a situation like this with Ben and I and Dr. Hillary there, what would you be feeling? Like we were alive and you were dead?
Yes.
What's more weird about this disease is the fact that even the patient can't find the right words to describe what he's going through. Warren's sense of detachment was heightened by being away from his family while undergoing treatment at Headley Court. While he could communicate with them, it didn't feel like a real interaction, further amplifying his emotional struggle. The pivotal moment in Warren's recovery happened when he encountered someone else with a similar experience, who shared how they reconstructed their identity after believing their old self had died. This helped Warren begin to accept his condition and rebuild his life. Following this interview, Warren joined endurance car racing with Team Brit, a racing team for injured British troops. The intensity and concentration required for racing helps him feel genuinely alive again. He describes this newfound sense of purpose as a mental clarity that he wishes he could bottle and sell. Number 8. At number 8 is a disease just as eerie as the previous one. It's called alien hand syndrome. Imagine experiencing an attack from one of your own hands, which constantly attempts to slap and punch you. More on that, you walk into a store, and when you attempt to turn right, one of your legs decides it wants to go left, causing you to walk in circles. Meet Karen Byrne, a 55-year-old woman from New Jersey last summer. She suffers from alien hand syndrome, where her left hand and occasionally her left leg behaves as if it were under the control of an alien intelligence. Karen's condition is intriguing, not only because of its peculiarity, but also because it reveals something unexpected about how our brains function. Her struggles began after she underwent surgery at the age of 27 to manage her epilepsy, which had been a dominating force in her life since she was 10. Epilepsy surgery typically involves identifying and removing a small section of the brain where abnormal electrical signals originate. When this is ineffective or when the damaged area cannot be pinpointed, patients may be offered more drastic options. In Karen's case, her surgeon severed her corpus callosum. Although severing the corpus callosum successfully treated Karen's epilepsy, it also resulted in an entirely different issue. Initially, everything seemed fine, but her doctors soon observed some extremely unusual behavior. Here's a video where someone tried to simulate what alien hand syndrome looks like from a first-person point of view. And here's a video where a man struggles to copy the pattern of blocks pictured on the paper. Number 7. We all know how important water is. We need it to survive and to perform daily tasks like taking a bath, for example, or washing the dishes. This woman, however, has a rare condition called aquagenic pruritus, which causes intense itching and burning when exposed to water. She can't even let herself sweat, which means she needs to keep a small fan with her at all times. The patient is a UK-based woman named Naya Selway. She gained popularity on TikTok after sharing her strange disease. Before taking a shower, she checks her temperature, blood pressure, and heart rate to make sure they are at safe levels. She does the same checks after the shower to monitor any changes.
So within 5 or 10 minutes of being in contact with the water, I will feel my body start to burn.
During a recent demonstration, her temperature increased from 96.8 degrees Fahrenheit to 105 degrees Fahrenheit in less than 20 minutes. After checking her vitals, she uses a dry brush to remove dead skin. Despite the discomfort it causes, this step is important to properly exfoliate her skin. Within 5 to 10 minutes of using sensitive skin products in the shower, she experiences pain and itchiness that can last for over an hour. After taking a shower, Selway mentioned that she moisturizes her skin and then has to lay in bed to soothe the pain. In severe cases, she has to take painkillers to ease the discomfort. I literally just writhe around in my bed until the pain stops and I start to feel exhausted, Selway said. She uses a combination of antihistamines, painkillers, moisturizing lotions, and treatments prescribed by doctors to try to ease her symptoms, but there's no single way to treat aquagenic pruritus. Number 6. Meet this young girl named Ellie McGinn. She was only 3 years old when her parents noticed she had issues with balance. During this interview with CBS, she was only 8 years old, and she was diagnosed with a rare genetic disorder known as leukoencephalopathy, or LBSL. Leukoencephalopathy with brainstem and spinal cord involvement and lactate elevation, says the little girl. She prefers to call it awesome disease, though. LBSL is a progressive condition that impacts the brain and spinal cord. It most often develops in children and affects their ability to walk, stand, and coordinate motor skills. Currently, there's no cure for the disease.
Leukoencephalopathy with brainstem and spinal cord involvement and lactate elevation.
Dr. Ali Fatemi and researchers at the hospital are working hard every day to find a cure for LBSL, but funding can often run short. The disease is so rare that Ellie is one of only 100 people worldwide to be diagnosed with it. Ellie's parents sought for awareness to find the cure for her disease, but no treatment for it has proved effective. Number 5. Imagine having a condition that causes a potent fish-like body odor. There are no known treatments or cures for this condition, and Alyssa Pursley copes with it on a daily basis. Trimethylaminuria is a rare genetic condition, which makes it challenging to treat. Individuals affected by this condition are unable to metabolize trimethylamine, a chemical compound known for its strong, unpleasant smell. This means their sweat, urine, and breath can emit a distinct fishy odor. Alyssa first learned about her condition, commonly referred to as fish odor syndrome, when she was in kindergarten in North Okaloosa County. The intensity of the odor can vary, sometimes being barely noticeable and other times becoming very strong, particularly during physical activity.
I was just really sort of anxious because it did crop up quite a bit at school.
And what did people say to you?
It was questions like, oh, you smell a fish today.
There is no known cure for trimethylaminuria. Symptoms can worsen due to sweating, stress, and hormonal changes. Alyssa's best approach to managing the odor to some extent involves adhering to an extremely restrictive diet. To keep the odor under control, she needs to avoid eating almost all vegetables, dairy, eggs, and especially fish. This is particularly challenging for her as she enjoys fishing. If given the opportunity to discuss the condition with strangers, she would request understanding. Some people with trimethylaminuria struggle with depression and suicidal thoughts. Despite this, Alyssa is determined to live life on her own terms. Number 4. Have you ever wished for a photographic memory? Perhaps to pass your exams, or just to rewatch a movie in your head? If you ask Jill Price to remember any day of her life, she can come up with an answer in a heartbeat. Jill Price, born in 1965 in New York City, grew up with an extraordinary ability to remember nearly every moment of her life. Her family moved several times, and when they relocated to Los Angeles in 1974, she was just 8 years old. This move marked a significant turning point for her, as it was around this time that her memory became incredibly vivid and detailed. Price remembers specific days and events with exceptional clarity, easily recalling what happened decades ago as easily as she can recall something from last week. Her ability to remember was so unique that in 2000 she reached out to Dr. James McGaugh, a memory researcher, to share her concerns. She described her memory not as a gift but a burden, feeling overwhelmed by the constant flood of memories triggered by everyday stimuli. Intrigued, McGaugh tested her memory and discovered she was the first known person with highly superior autobiographical memory, or HSAM.
When was JR shot on Dallas?
When he was shot, or when did you find out he was shot? Who shot him? He was shot on March 21st, 1980, and we found out November 21st, 1980.
Despite her incredible recall, Price describes her condition as mentally exhausting. She constantly revisits every experience, whether good or bad, making it difficult for her to move forward in life. For her, memories aren't just recollections. They feel like a constant presence, always playing in the background. Number 3. Not feeling pain may sound like a good deal at face value, but if you think about it, it's actually scary. Not being able to know when there's something wrong with your body, inside and out, can be life-threatening. That's the case with this woman. Jo Cameron smells singed flesh before realizing her skin is burning. Her arms burn on the oven frequently, but she doesn't feel any pain to alert her. This is due to the fact that she is one of just 2 individuals worldwide who have a rare genetic mutation. This means that she rarely experiences pain and never experiences fear or anxiety.
I'm constantly burning myself and don't realize until there's a smell of burning skin.
She didn't realize she was unique until she was 65 years old, as medical professionals found it hard to accept that she didn't require painkillers following a major surgery. She didn't even feel pain during childbirth, recalling, "It was just strange, but I didn't have pain. It was quite enjoyable, really." When Cameron passes away, she plans to donate her body to science. While she's still alive, she intends to participate in scientific studies. Researchers hope that her genetics will offer insights into developing new treatments for anxiety, trauma, pain management, and healing. Number 2. A woman who suffers from narcolepsy has discovered that exercise is the only thing that keeps her awake. Belle Hutt, who lives in Amsterdam, became a personal trainer after abandoning her dream of working as an interior designer because she couldn't stay awake long enough to hold down an office job. The British woman got narcolepsy when she was 15 because of a swine flu shot. She can doze off up to 15 times a day and has hallucinations. In a BBC 3 video, Belle talks about how people often mistake her sleep attacks for being drunk, and she's even been recorded like a circus act.
Just wakes up and how long was I gone for is always the first question.
Like your time?
It's 4:05. What time you want to go?
Belle was 17 when she was officially diagnosed with narcolepsy after she began to fall asleep in every single class at boarding school. She, along with her classmates, had received a swine flu jab following the outbreak in 2010 and was one of the unlucky few who developed narcolepsy. She later realized that this had affected 1 in 55,000, according to a study from Public Health England. At one point, when she realized that her entire day would be spent mainly on sleeping, she realized that there was no point in living and that she didn't want to go on anymore. Number 1. And for the last weirdest disease on this video, we have Kim Ramsey, a nurse from New Jersey, who experiences an overwhelming 100 intense climaxes daily, often set off by the smallest movements. Ramsey was diagnosed with persistent genital arousal disorder, or PGAD, a condition that doctors believe was caused by spinal cysts she developed after a fall down the stairs about a decade ago. Her issues with constant climaxes began after being intimate with a new boyfriend in 2008.
I'm tired, I'm exhausted, but I know that in the next couple seconds, minutes, hours, another one's gonna hit.
PGAD is not a common disorder, but some women who have it have talked about the difficulties of dealing with many uncontrollable episodes every day. PGAD isn't really about climaxes, and it's definitely not about pleasure. This condition, which mostly affects women, is characterized by a constant feeling of pressure and discomfort in the pelvic area. People with PGAD often feel like they're stuck in a state of constant arousal, on the edge of a release that never fully happens. Similar to a persistent, frustrating buildup of tension.